This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/Andrew and enter promo code Andrew at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
What the tech?
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew here, and of course I'm joined by the one, the only Mr. Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
I'm so
You're so
happy
cheerful.
I am. I'm very cheerful. Well, it's election
What's wrong
day.
with you?
It's election day.
Right.
I got my sticker.
I do too.
Do you see it here? Well, I got 4 of them.
Okay, but that sounds like voter fraud, Andrew.
Well, isn't that how it works? You go in, and then you come out, you get a sticker, and the more stickers you get, the more you win at this game of voting, right?
Oh, boy.
So you just go in and you just say, I would like to vote, please, and then you collect all the stickers.
If I thought I could make a difference and vote all day long, I would.
I have, they're very stingy with these stickers here in New York. I don't know if in
Well, I guess
your
they're
area.
not, Andrew. You have 4 of them.
I do, because I stole these stickers. No, I used my child, and I said, I would like the sticker for my child, please, and they gave me 3. They gave me 4 stickers.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is how fraud is done, apparently.
Yep.
I thought the whole point of voting was to get the sticker, and I generally think some people vote only for the sticker.
I was told there were going to be cookies, like when you give blood.
They lied.
It was disappointing.
Yeah, they lied. It was just a bowl of limes at the end. They just hand you a lime. Guys, a lot to talk about. Obviously, it's election day here in the States. We're not going to talk about politics, but go out and vote if you're voting. If you're eligible to vote here in this country, go out and vote. If you're not, then don't vote. Just watch the news and complain like everybody else. We have so much to talk about. I had a couple questions for you, and last week, I was shocked at the amount of emails, the amount of feedback I got regarding my issues with Windows 10.
Yep.
And unanimously, I had the same response from everybody on how to fix my issue. And unanimously, my response back was exactly the same for every single message.
You've tried this and it does not work.
No, it's not even an option. And I'll go into why. And I think there's a lot of confusion because it's Windows 10 and it's Windows 10. It's not another name for Windows, even though it's a different version of Windows. It's still Windows 10. I don't know if this is a good or bad. And we've discussed the PR, the marketing issues that may arise from this if they just stick with Windows 10. So I wanted your opinion on this, and I had a couple other topics, and I wanted to read some of the questions that people sent. But before we do that, let's take a moment and thank our amazing sponsor, and that's Casper. Guys, we have been discussing Casper mattresses on the show for years. Paul has a Casper. When I stayed at his house, I slept on a Casper in the guest room. It was a perfect night's sleep. I have a Casper I've been sleeping on for years, and almost everybody that I know that is buying a new mattress is buying a Casper. I think some of it has to do with me, to be honest. I constantly recommend Casper mattresses to people. I'm always suggesting a Casper mattress to people, and they're going and buying Casper mattresses. So go and check them out. This is a great offer that they have for you guys. 100 days, no commitment. You get your money back, 100% money back after 100 days of sleeping on this mattress, which is great. You could try it out, see if it works for you, see if it doesn't work for you, and you just return it if it doesn't work. It's high-quality mattresses, and they have a great offer. Go to Casper.com/Andrew. Get $50 off your purchase when you go to Casper. $50 off when you go to Casper.com/Andrew and use the offer code Andrew at checkout. I want to thank Casper for supporting the show, for, of course, supporting the GFQ network. Guys, if you're watching this live, and I hope my engineer is watching live, our machine just crashed for the live feed. So if it's possible, Suncast, with the magic of the 21st century, could you please change our main feed to be live stream? Thank you. So, Paul, as we try to correct this problem, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things here. One, I'm gonna go into my issues with. I'm gonna go talk about my issues with Windows at the end of the show, but I want to talk to you about Dell working on an Intel-based Windows phone.
Mhm.
Could it happen, Paul? Could this be it? Could this?
No. So, I mean, it's not. They're not working on it now. This is a previous project that was canceled. Probably when Intel canceled their phone chips. So, uh, I think the initial theories were that maybe this was the Surface phone that everyone thinks is going to happen, and might have been like an Intel device, but I believe it's a Dell device. So,
So
no.
why Intel? And what chip are they using? What chip is it? Because the last I
Well,
remember, they were killing their mobile. They were slowing it
yeah,
down.
they killed off the Atom chip that would have went into phones
Yeah.
earlier this year. So at the time, I wrote an article where I said, this has some big impact on the Surface phone, if Microsoft intended to make an Intel-based version of it, because obviously an Intel-based version of a Surface phone would be interesting because it could run real Windows apps, right? At least when docked with a big display and everything. So I think Dell might have been working on one as well.
Okay. Now, this is not going to be that cool device. We always talk about Continuum and the possibilities of
Hmm.
Continuum with Windows Phone, and that's really the one thing that stands out for me is Continuum and possibly making this thing a all-in-one device.
Yep.
Microsoft just released the Surface Studio, which I got a lot of crap for this week on my
Okay.
commentary about it, which I don't think I said anything bad other than this is a very industry device. It's not for the consumer. If you
Yep.
are, you're probably in a minority. If you are just an average Joe buying this thing, but when we talk about the Surface lineup, we're talking about premium devices, high quality, and something unique. I mean, they all have some unique feature.
Yeah. Yeah. They all have some sort form of transforming capability, right? And so when you think about what a Surface phone might be, were they to make such a device, you could picture it being what HP calls a three-in-one device, which is something that you can dock at a desktop, turn it into a desktop computer. It can be a phone, and you could dock it wirelessly or
Yeah.
wired to a laptop form factor
I,
as well, and it
I
becomes like
mean,
a
could
laptop.
that be? I mean, that would, in my eyes, that would be the Surface device. Working
Yeah.
with Intel, that Surface phone, working with Intel would be a key to all
Yep.
of this.
Yeah. It's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah. Dell working on an Intel-based chip I mean, could they possibly do something with their lineup of devices? I mean, is
Well,
that something that's in? I don't know. For Dell to
well,
invest the
first of
time and
all,
the
this
effort,
is not happening, right? So it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's over. Um, I- it's hard to say what could happen in the future, right? Intel got rid of these chips. They don't really have any plans for doing this again. The problem with Continuum on Windows phones is it gives you kind of the worst of both worlds, right? It's this phone that can turn into a PC, but it's a phone platform that has no apps, and it's a PC platform that has no apps. So it
yeah.
doesn't really
I mean, I think it's interesting that
you
Dell
know
tried to kind of get into this game where they did add an Intel-based chip for this phone that they were going to put out, and obviously this was something that they were working on. But
yeah.
I wonder what the long-term vision would have been for this. Is it the same vision that we have, where we have this idea that it's just one device and you just pop it into all these things? You may have this laptop and you may have a monitor. So depending on the room that you're in, you just connect it somehow and you're just
Uh,
working off of that.
yeah. You know what though?
How about your
This
TV? I
is
mean,
it's yeah, but it's a very forward-leaning idea.
is it that
Um,
forward-leaning?
yeah, yeah, it is because one of the things I found in my own existence, if you try to do something where you remove a device from the equation, right? It's nice in some ways to consolidate. But you always lose something in that transition, and so you could do something like I really like the way that text looks on an Amazon Kindle, but the Kindle devices don't have access to all the reading content that Amazon provides, and
Mm-hmm.
so I find myself having to carry two devices when I travel. So I bring a Kindle and like an iPad Mini, or maybe you could bring like a Fire tablet, whatever. That's not very efficient, and so eventually you decide, well, I'm just going to bring the iPad because the iPad Amazon Kindle app runs everything that Amazon offers. Why carry two devices? And the reading experience isn't that great, but that's kind of what you do. And those trade-offs and your ability to make them is what determines whether or not the stuff can be successful.
Yeah.
I just think that like a phone that can transform into other devices is kind of a bridge too far at this point. It's just not a very good phone because Windows Phone is terrible. And it's not a good computer because only being able to run Universal Windows Platform apps is not great. And this is not going to happen. And so we're going to continue to see these hybrid devices, like the Google Pixel C is arguably a hybrid device. It's a tablet. It's sort of a computer. Chromebook with Android apps is another example. It's a computer, but it always also runs these mobile apps. It's kind of cool. Surface devices transform between tablet and laptop type form factors. And to date, most of these things have not been super successful because they're not very good at everything, and they're not typically excellent at any one thing either. And I think that's kind of the problem. And so,
do they have to be really good at everything? I mean, I'll give an example, right? This laptop, which I'm going to post a review of next week on the show. We're going to do a live Q&A, I guess, about this thing because you saw it, and it's not terrible. You played around with it for a couple minutes, and I would say for $250, it's a great laptop to have because you could throw this thing around. It does everything you need it to do. But but that mentality of does it need to do everything really well? Probably not. It really comes down to one thing, and that's the price, right?
Depends on your need.
Yeah.
Right. It depends on your needs, I should say. For me, if I travel, when I travel, I bring a phone. I bring a little tablet for reading mostly and for movies or something, because I'm on the road. And then I bring a laptop because I have to get work done. And the combination of those things, it's not a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Two of them use the same cables for charging and stuff. So I'm not bringing a lot of redundant things. The right tool for the job.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We always get back to this, the whole Surface device, the whole Surface phone, because it's so fascinating that so many people are interested in it. But that's even now, right? Even with the idea that this device is not happening, it still looks really realistic in their lineup. When you look at the Surface lineup and the devices that they're adding, it just fits it perfectly. They have the tablet, they have the laptop, they have now they have the all-in-one. What are they going to put next? The tower, the consumer device, the phone, the toaster oven?
I don't know. Yeah, hopefully not. It fits in conceptually, but it remains to be seen whether, like, the Surface Studio actually even makes any sense as a product. I don't think it does. As beautiful as it is, I don't think there's any market for this thing.
So I'm ripping off my voting. You upset me so much. I'm ripping this thing off. So we were talking about this, and a lot of the argument that I heard that was positive, not the it looks cool so I want it, you guys are idiots, but people from within the industry that use these very expensive illustration devices. These
I don't
these
care about
screens.
Those people. No, I mean,
listen,
those people are a very small minority.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not a market. It's not a market for a company like Microsoft that sells to mass markets. Like I don't. To date, this market has been serviced by very high-end, expensive solutions. Whether we're talking about software like the Photoshop, Creative Studio, or Creative Cloud stuff, or we're talking about hardware, Cintiq and the Wacom tablets and so forth. Not by Microsoft. So I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying their needs are not, there. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that's not a mass market. It doesn't matter.
It's not a mass market at all. But the argument about pricing and how expensive, for them, it is not an expensive device. And it's actually cheaper than it would cost to get, the computer plus the screen plus it would just
except now they're running Windows, which they don't use.
Yeah.
So I hear you. You just spent the whole morning looking at a picture of a blue screen.
I did.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
I'm literally not saying the Mac is perfect, but I think for those people, it's the devil they know.
Yeah. It's an interesting discussion. I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
I don't get it. I just don't understand it.
I'm curious to see how the lineup changes. What the future of this Surface lineup is, because they're all very expensive devices from top to bottom.
I should look this up. I'll just look this up without. So I read this car review column in the New York Times every Friday. I really like it. The guy who does it is awesome, and he makes great videos. And so he does video versions of the reviews. I'm trying to talk and look this up at the same time, which is really smart. It's called Driven, and let me see if I can find it. It's like New York Times, and his name is, what is his name? Tom Volk or something like that. Anyway, his car reviews are great, and they're really. I look forward to Friday for this reason, but yeah, they don't have the newest one here, unfortunately. So anyway, the most recent car that he reviewed though was some Gullwing, or like the doors kind of open like this,
Yeah.
and it was like a $216,000. I don't even remember what it was. I don't care because I'm never going to own such a vehicle. So you can kind of look at these car reviews and you're like, well, they have like expensive cars like Mercedes and Hyundai Genesis and Porsche 911, and then there are like normal cars like Mini Clubman and various Hondas and whatever. And then there are like these cars that are just unobtainable,
Yeah.
And that's what the Surface Studio is. No one is not going to look at one of these things, just like no one would look at a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, which
not
this
say,
guy
wow.
has reviewed for some reason this year, and not say, wow, it's really beautiful. It's not practical. It's not for you. It's not for anybody. It's for such a limited audience.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. I mean, or the argument is that this is a device to kind of tell the other OEMs, hey, listen, this is the direction you should go in. These are the type of devices that you should be making. More of a reference type device than a, hey, we're putting this on the market, because the same argument was said about the Surface when it originally came out, that people were saying it's too expensive. And the point of this is not to piss the OEMs off, but the point is to guide them in the direction that they want to be in. And I think some of that is true with this device, but I would love to know how many they've sold.
I really don't. I'm reaching the point of no return with this thing.
Yeah.
A device like a Surface Book is expensive, given what it is. It's expensive. You could call it an aspirational device. Have we seen any PC makers copy this thing? No, actually we haven't. Will they? I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know. Not so far. The pricing on the Surface Studio is so far out of whack. It's not even aspirational. It's pointless. It's non-existent. Part of the way that Microsoft should be inspiring PC makers is to show them that they can build devices that are beautiful and useful and actually affordable by real people too. It can't, what are we going to make the next one out of, like diamonds or something? Like, how do we make it more expensive? It's ridiculous.
Corinthian leather, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Fine Corinthian leather.
That's what you need to put on it. I think it's fascinating. I think the lineup is interesting, and it was a hot topic last week as far as our stance on this and where we think what this device is. I was shocked at how many people said, I want this device, and I'm not an illustrator, I'm not a graphics guy, I want this device. And I said, you know what? Thank God for you. If you actually go and buy this thing, Microsoft should throw in, everything else.
You should just get Office 365 for free.
Everything for the rest of your life you should get for free, because you are a demo that I don't think that they're considering. And if the consumers actually buy this thing, that's unbelievable. So you got the Google Home, correct? You got it last week.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, so I'm dying to know what you think.
You're not going to find out from me, because I today brought it to the post office and sent it back.
You sent it right back. So if you go to Thurrott.com, you have a post on Thurrott.com regarding this. Tell me.
Good luck finding it, by the way. It's going to be
it's buried. I know. I saw it this morning. The Dongle World. I like that article, by the way. Talk to me about this.
About the faux outrage.
Yeah. Talk to me about the device. I'm curious why so quick.
Right. Well, my wife and I did not like the Amazon Echo, for starters. We didn't find it to be particularly useful. A lot of reasons for that. I sort of do recognize that this market for chatbots and for voice-based personal digital assistants is a thing. And by the way, they're the same thing, right? It's just a different way of interacting with the same thing. I don't know about you, but I don't do this kind of interaction ever. Well, that's not completely fair. I very rarely do this type of interaction. The one place I do it is in Duolingo. They have chatbots for learning French, and actually, I do that every day. I find it to be frustrating, because it's like an Infocom game. If you don't respond exactly right, you're not getting anywhere. The Amazon device was problematic because it's a home device, and it's really just a front end for buying stuff from Amazon, and then hey, play a song. Hey, buy me something at Amazon.
Almost
Hey,
everybody
what's
that
the
I know that
weather?
has that device uses it to play music. That is the only reason why they
Yeah,
have it. They tell it, and I do it on my first of all, I do it on my Amazon Fire TV because ooh, that wasn't good. It
sorry,
has
that was
it has Alexa built in, so I'll say play music for brunch, and it'll compile a mix of songs for brunch. It's really good at
right.
that. Other than that, I have
Okay.
no
Well,
reason to use it.
that's a nicety, right? Not a
No,
necessity.
yeah.
And if your goal is to play music, I mean, that's great. It seems like that's what a lot of people do use these things for. I already have 150 ways to play music in my house. I've got Sonos, I've got Chromecast all over the place, mobile apps on different phone platforms. I've got Apple TV and Roku, and on it goes. I get music everywhere. I never actually listen to it, so I'm not really sure what the point is, but it is all over my house. But the Google Home, you have to sort of believe that at some point Google Home or Google will surpass like the Amazon Echo. Like they're going to do it. Um, it may not happen right away. I mean, Amazon has a lot of skills that third-party developers have added to that device. It's unusually popular for an Amazon device, but it's going to happen, right? I think we all sort of understand that's going to happen. Um, this first one it's a little bit of a lie. I mean, from a hardware perspective, this device is a Chromecast, right? With two microphones and
Yeah.
a cute little deodorant-looking
So
phone
essentially,
factor.
that's what it is on the inside. It's a Chromecast.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
Chromecast with a
Chromecast.
mic.
Okay, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, it will work a lot like the Amazon Echo, which I just told you we don't like. Um, but the hope of this thing is it's the Google Assistant. And so this thing will be out in the world with you all the time. It will be on your phones. It will be in your car. It will be, you don't have to be in the living room or whatever room you have this thing to use it. And there's some benefits to that, right? There's some benefits to, just to use this tired example I used yesterday, probably on the other podcast, which was something like, hey, Google, what's the weather? What's the traffic like? And it's like, oh, you should go this way and whatever. And then, maybe it doesn't do this now, by the way, I don't think, but you know, knowing that you asked it this in the home, your phone could then pop up in the car and say, hey, there's an accident. You should do something different. Even if you weren't using the map app at that time,
Yeah.
just because it knew you'd already asked about it and that this is something you do every day, that integration becomes really interesting. It doesn't do that yet, but that's beside the point. Um, but the Google device is different from Amazon, right? Because it's not really about purchasing stuff from Amazon. It's not kind of a family device. It's tied to a Google account, which is your account, which is you. And in my house, I have 3 people now. My son's gone, but 4 people normally who all have their own Google accounts and sign into Google on the web and on their devices and whatever. And if I tried to add something, a reminder, if I tried to find out what was on the schedule, if I tried to get it to play music, it would do it against the account that was built into that device, which would be, say, like my wife's account. I'm not particularly worried about privacy issues, but I recognize this is a major limitation of this device. This is going to be an issue for a lot of people. It just is. So I just don't think it's ready yet.
Yeah.
The other thing I would point out is if you go back and watch that Google announcement for the Google Home and the Google phones they released later, they talk about how this is the only place you can get this. Like the Google Pixel XL and Pixel are the only phones that have the Google Assistant, and the Google Home device is the only other place to get it. This is where Google Assistant lives. It's not anywhere else. That's a lie. The Google Assistant is in every Android device made. It's in Google Now. It's in the Google search box. It's on the top of your phone home screen. It's exactly the same experience. If you type that microphone icon, it's exactly the same. So I don't even need this device to test it. I can test it on my phones.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
So it's spending $157 on nothing.
I feel like I get the whole home automation. I get the smarter home mentality. And listen, I have smart lights, but I don't really use it in this with a central hub. Um, I don't see a purpose beyond turning your lights on and off when you come in the house. Like I think
Right.
there's a lot of immaturity in this market right now, and these devices like the Home and Alexa, the Echo.
Right.
I think they're cool to have, but people are using them for the simplest of conveniences, like playing music. which you could essentially do that with your phone connected to your Bluetooth
Sure.
speaker. You know, you could do all of that. The home appliance feature is it's nifty, it's cool, but beyond that, I don't know who they're appealing to. Who is their
Right.
market, and why do you need this?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
You know, we
I don't
talk about
either.
Google. We talk about the car, for example.
Right.
The car, Android Auto, and these apps. This is something that I feel that is going to be very important to have, and they're just it's very difficult for them to do this right. It's interesting to me that that is a
Yeah.
market that I feel technology
Sure.
would really help. The fact that I could have Google Maps on my display, and they can't really crack this. They can't really push, the I guess getting this in the car. It's still really half-assed in many cars.
Yeah. I mean, so they just announced that the Google Auto app, which you need to use Google Auto in a car, will now be able to work on its own, meaning you don't need Google Auto in the car. Like your phone will be the Google Auto interface, and that's cool. And I think anyone who's used Google Maps in a car with their phone up on the dashboard or whatever, it's a good. Assuming you can see the screen or whatever, it's a good experience. It talks to you. It tells you when to turn. It tells you if it found a better route and all that kind of stuff. Um, there's no doubt that voice interactions with technology is part of the wave that's coming. I mean, it's we rely, like you said, we rely on it today in the car already in some ways. I just I don't know how to explain this. Like, I just kind of don't care about it. I mean, in general. So on a phone, like, I don't want to talk to my phone. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't find that to be a good way to interact with it.
See, and I do, and I talk to my phone all the time.
You do. So what do you
Yeah.
do? Yeah. What do you say to your phone? I'm curious about
Reminders.
that. Okay.
Essentially,
Yeah,
that's all I use it
no,
for is
that's good. That's
reminders.
good. Yeah, that's good.
I'm really bad at putting stuff in my calendar,
But
so
no, wait
if
a minute though.
we,
You have a Google
I
phone
do.
or like a Samsung phone.
Yeah,
So when you do a reminder, your reminders are stored in the Google app
in
then,
the Google, yeah,
right?
in Google.
Yeah. Okay.
So I add stuff to my calendar. I'll ask it a question if I'm looking something up. I'll give an example. I was at the bar and we were trying to come up with who the actor was in some movie, and
Yeah.
I won't type it in. I'll just say,
You'll say it.
I'll say the
Yep.
word, okay, and then the company's name because it's going to go off. I'll ask the question and it'll give me an answer immediately. I mean, just
Right.
it just
And
really,
it
it's really
speaks
good,
the answer.
and it speaks the answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use
I
it
you
in
know
those scenarios. Again, a
sure.
convenience more than anything else. The reminder thing is important for me because I'm terrible at putting stuff in my calendar. So I'll do, meeting invites, I'll set reminders.
But you're still not putting anything in your calendar, right?
No, no, you are.
And
Yeah. No, you are.
you are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all tied because my calendar's is Google.
I know that. But so you're saying that the reminders you do through the Google app actually do make it to your calendar.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
they're all
That's good.
tied. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, good.
So the Google stuff, I use it in that sense, but I'll give an example. We talk about talking to your computer. We've
Mhm.
spoken about this for a while, and I couldn't get used to using Cortana. And the way that I kind of played both sides was, well, maybe because I've been in the Mac ecosystem for too long, maybe I'll use Siri more than I'll use, because I don't use my Windows laptop as much. So maybe with Siri, I'll use it. Guess what? It's utterly useless. I don't know
Yeah.
anybody using Siri on their laptop. I don't know too many people that use
Right.
Cortana, to be honest, on their laptop.
Yep.
I don't have a use for it, and I can't. We use computers very differently on a phone and on a desktop. I think
Yeah.
that is the thing that's kind of lacking here. Why would you use Siri on a laptop?
You may know more about this than I do, because I just don't use the Mac enough. But on the Windows side, it's kind of interesting. You hit the Windows key and you start typing, and let me just do it because
What for search?
yeah. So why yeah, and
Yeah,
as I'm hitting the Windows key, nothing's coming up. So
it
um,
pulls stuff up.
it pulls stuff up,
Yeah.
and you can search. Actually, that's a search. That's actually different than yeah. So on the Mac, you do like I don't know the key, but it's like the Alt key on a Windows keyboard. It's like Alt space or it
Yeah.
must be like Command space or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that brings up whatever the desktop search
The
is on the
spotlight
Mac.
search. Yeah.
Spotlight search. So it works similarly, right,
Hmm.
to the start search on Windows. And then on Windows, you can do like I guess it's Windows C. You can click in the box. Obviously, I don't know. My keyboard's like it's dying or something. Nothing's working. Um, and you can bring up Cortana. And it's funny because Cortana actually can search for the same things. Like if I just type in Windows, I get that same exact, it's Star Search. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think on the Mac, Siri and Spotlight are two different things.
They're totally separate things. So I'll give you an example.
Totally
If I'm
separate.
searching, like if I'm searching right now with Spotlight, I put in terminal.
Yep.
And it actually pulls up terminal, and then it pulls up the dictionary app, so it looks for a definition. Then it goes through my emails. Then it goes to my map, so it's finding Terminal 5, the nightclub, and then
Yep.
suggested websites, Wikipedia, and then suggested videos, web videos. It's not tied with Siri at all. Let me see. Let me ask it. Siri, open up terminal. Oh, look, it won't work. Siri, open up terminal. Nope, it doesn't.
You can
wanna
actually
work.
use Siri to launch.
No.
Okay. So it's like a voice interface to the thing you could type with
Yeah.
Spotlight.
Yeah. And I think for me, the reason why I don't type is that I hate typing on glass, and it would take me way longer to write, what's the name
Yeah.
of the guy that was in, that movie,
Mm-hmm.
when I could just speak it really quickly and find it. It's just
Yeah.
more of a
See,
convenience. than a
I mean,
time
I'm
thing.
so used to interacting with computers by typing, I just naturally go to that
Yeah.
interface, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when it comes to voice and searching and talking to, it's
Well,
going to take something
here's a
else.
typical. All right, but let me give you the Thurrott family typical scenario for needing this functionality, and this is kind of where I think like Cortana or any of these assistants kind of wouldn't show up today. And feel free to prove me wrong. I'm just the way we think, the way we think, the way we do things. We're watching TV at night, and some actor or actress is coming into the scene, and they look really familiar. So I pause it and I ask my wife the most futile question on earth because she never knows the answer to any of these questions, which is like, "Hey, do you know where was that person from over there?" She's like, "Yeah, I don't know. They look familiar."
Oh, yeah.
So how do you find that? Like, how do you find that person, right? And so the way I do it is I open the browser and I type in the name of the TV show or the movie or whatever we're watching. I go to the IMDb page for that thing because it comes up in the search results. I guess I could just go to IMDb first. And then I look at the list. And then I click on the actor or actress. And I look at all the things they've been in. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we watched The Sopranos. They were in The Sopranos or whatever, That's kind of a convoluted way of finding someone. But how would you say it?
Yeah.
How would you even say what I just did?
Yeah.
Hey, Google, remember that show? Whatever. I don't. It kind of falls apart.
Well, I've done it.
Yeah.
So this is what it was. Now I remember. We couldn't come up with the guy that played Spider in Goodfellas. Okay, the guy from The Sopranos. So
Yep.
I said the guy that played Spider and was also in The Sopranos, and it pulled it up immediately. Michael Imperioli.
Okay, I was gonna say Google. It seems like Google would be the one that would get that right.
Yeah,
That was Google that
that
did
was
that.
Google. Yeah,
Yeah, I could picture that.
yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The problem is, though, in many cases, but you knew information about it, right? In other words,
Oh, what's the
a
name
lot
of that?
times
Yeah.
my wife and I just check out. So
Yeah.
we're watching TV, and it's like, who's the blonde chick from what's the TV show we're watching again? Like we don't even know what we're doing. Like I don't know how. It's I just doesn't seem unless the thing could read my mind or whatever. But maybe that's part of it eventually. Amazon has a thing where you can bring up, I don't know what they call it, but they have like an overlay that shows you the actors on the screen. You can select it and go see what else they did. Like that would be pretty great. It's almost like if someone could just crack the living room, we'd be all set.
Yeah. I think. Well, let's talk about the living room. This was an interesting story I saw on 9 to 5 Mac. I'm sorry, Paul. AT&T is reportedly planning to offer DirecTV Now subscribers a free Apple TV or a Fire TV stick. This is exactly what we
Okay.
discussed yesterday, last week on What the Talk. We were talking about, this is the ultimate fantasy where you no longer have to sign up for cable through your cable provider, but you're still getting all the services through them. They give you some set-top box.
So you're saying there's an app.
There is now an
that they
app.
have.
Yeah. So Verizon doesn't have this, unfortunately. I know Time Warner has it, but it's pretty limited. But DirecTV Now is AT&T's service for,
Mhm.
DirecTV over the internet. Starts off at $35 a month.
Right.
which is not bad, and they're giving people a free Apple TV or a Fire Stick to get. I'm thinking about this. You know what? This is how the cable industry kind of, says, "Hey guys, okay, we get it. How about this? How about this option?" And they're still tying you in for a monthly fee.
Hmm.
I think this is really going to be the future of the living room when you talk about
Right.
set-top
Right.
boxes and content. You're always going to be tied to a cable provider at the end of the day. But
Yeah. Well, it will be almost like an internet provider, really.
yeah,
Like, it seems like all this stuff could just be. It should all. Well, it probably already is really behind the scenes, but it should be all like IP based. It's just
yeah.
internet streaming, live or recorded video.
So
You
it
know.
is not out yet, apparently. DirecTV Now is not out yet. It's
Okay.
coming out soon. AT&T is preparing to roll out DirecTV Now. The company is looking to give away Apple TVs and Fire Sticks to consumers who sign up for TV streaming. I would imagine that there would just be an app. If you have an Apple TV, just download the app to watch their content. For $35, you get more than 100 channels.
Well,
This is not a bad deal for them.
assuming the channels are
God, can you imagine if AT&T gets their act together with this because they own DirecTV? Do you know how
right.
much the up cost of satellites are for them? It would have to be. I mean, it has to be this ridiculous expense to keep these things and
Sure.
to keep this technology going. If
This
they
is how
could
they can get rid of it.
if they could slowly, I mean, obviously it's not going to happen for everybody, but if they could phase out maybe 2/3 of their subscribers, it's less maintenance for them. It's less
Yep.
upkeep. I'm curious
Yeah,
as
it's
to
interesting.
how good this quality is going to be.
Right.
DirecTV will give consumers 7 days free as a trial. Consumers who choose not to pay for the trial period could automatically be downgraded to DirecTV Freeview. I guess there's a free service. I don't know what that is. Ad-supported tier with limited content.
Hmm.
Interesting. This is very
Yeah.
interesting, but this may be the start. Maybe.
Well, it's just, I don't know if it's a start. It's a step. I mean, we've seen things like PlayStation View and other services that are kind of, there's little bits and drabs
They said
here and
bring your
there.
own set-top box. I mean, that's the concept behind this. You bring your own device.
But it needs to be like a full solution. Like when Apple started saying live TV, I got a little bit excited. I was thinking there's going to be some, actual live TV on this thing. That'd be incredible. And it wasn't. And I think that it's the missing piece for me. I mean, I could, in so many ways, imagine getting rid of cable, but some of the things I would miss include, sports.
So
And
let me ask you this, Paul. So when you talk about TV done by Apple, right? Like this is our ultimate thing. Apple or anybody, right? Even
yeah,
Microsoft. I would love
yep,
somebody to do TV.
sure.
We're not talking about taking the cord from outside and connecting that coax cable to this box. We're talking
No,
IP-based television.
absolutely.
Okay. What
Yep.
if Apple, which by the way, you can on Apple TV, you could get the Sling TV. Now I guess
Mhm.
DirecTV is going to be on there as well, so you have
Oh, but
options for
Sling
that.
is such a kludge. Like what I really want is for these what I think what
By the way,
are
it's not
really
the same
live stream.
Sling. It's not the same Sling.
Okay. Well,
It's
but the point is that, you know, the local Fox affiliate, the local NBC affiliate, the
yeah,
local ABC, whoever they are, their content goes out live over something, over satellite. They have satellite dishes, they have whatever they have. One of the things that they must transmit over is just an internet connection, right? I mean, just have it be available over the internet connection.
yeah. Well,
That
Fios
part of
kind
the
of does
deal of
that.
this subscription would be you get live TV of all the major networks locally. You get some slate of, cable packages or whatever you choose what you want. And that's the whole thing. And then you get pay extra for the HBOs and whatever those premium services are.
Yeah.
But I just, it's weird to me how old fashioned this stuff is. And you're right that it's happening. I don't remember where I mentioned this recently, but some years ago, our power went out. And so we picked up our phone to call someone, and the phone was dead.
Hmm.
And we're like, well, we have landlines. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Except we didn't have landlines anymore. Fios never told us.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Fios had switched them over. They were
Yeah.
just IP like everything
Yeah.
else.
It's no
And
copper.
so
Yeah.
we're paying extra for this.
Yeah.
Like we pay for 2 phone lines. Like we don't have phone lines. We just have, it's like a Skype thing. Like we're
Yeah.
paying extra for nothing. Well, for a
So that
phone.
was a major problem with Fios when they started deploying it
Yeah.
here in New York. They were cutting your copper line. They weren't just letting the line sit
Yeah,
there
yeah,
and
yeah.
disconnecting the service. Because if
Right.
you disconnect service, it still has a dial tone. You can still dial 911
Of
from a copper line
course.
that has no service.
Yes. Yes. You
Uh,
don't need power or anything.
you
It
don't
works
need
great. It's
anything. You
magic.
just connect it. And
It's magic. It's
they
like the
were,
oldest technology in the world, and you can reach 911.
yeah.
It's like,
So on
you
Long
don't even need
Island,
power. It's hilarious.
on
It
Long
works
Island,
like with pixie dust.
all these homes, Long Island was first. So all these
Yeah.
homes got wired for this, and they were
Mhm.
cutting your copper line. They were just connecting you to the Fios box. Well, you got about
Mhm.
5 minutes of battery life, right? If there is an emergency, you could
Right.
still
Right.
call.
That's true.
So all these people, after a couple minutes, you're realizing the power's not coming back. You're like, oh, you know what? Let me bring out the old phone, connect it to the jack. You connect it to the jack.
Exactly.
Guess what? No dial tone
Right.
because the battery is only good for 5 minutes on this backup
Dude, it's
battery.
even so. What I've just described is even worse because we were using the old phones on the wall where they've always been, but inside the house, they went back to the FiOS box. They didn't go. They don't go back to the copper connection, whatever that might have been. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But it's not actually it's not a line. It's not a line, a
Yeah,
landline. It
it's
just
IP
goes through
based. Yeah.
the fiber.
Okay, so I think this is how I see Apple playing this. Rather than Apple becoming their own provider, cable provider, right? IP based content provider. This is how I see this playing out. You choose your provider.
Mhm.
Comcast, Time Warner, Verizon, Spectrum, as Time Warner is called now, Spectrum. Whoever your provider is,
Perfect
DirecTV,
name for them.
and they have and they have all these apps. It's all available on their service, and they are the front end of the service on this
Right.
device. So they integrate everything throughout the experience of the Apple device, and Amazon could do the same. Google could do the same. They don't have to rely on their apps. They have to rely on the service. So they do whatever they're doing magic on the back end, but it looks fluid across the platform.
Right.
That's how I
Right.
see this playing out with the cable providers. Still, again, it's just, I know they don't want to be a dumb pipe, but they're just a dumb pipe, and the layout is all taken care of depending on the device that you're on. And then you decide what kind of
Yeah.
device you want.
The the problem with a lot of these cord cutting solutions is, the answer if you want live TV, like real live TV, is, put an antenna upstairs somewhere in a window or on the roof or whatever, and you run a cable down to some box that has like an over the air, receiver and tuned to those special channels. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like this can't, it's
It's
fine that that's there,
Yeah.
but we need like a fully digital internet based everything.
The
Everything.
problem. So here's the problem with this. If you are like me, and you're really big on the quality of the content,
Right.
it's going to be very difficult to deliver the same quality content over IP video. IP video
Mm,
done this way, not the way that Verizon does it, not the way that other like you versus IP. But they are
sure.
still sending a dedicated stream between, let's say, 8 to 20 megabits a second. Verizon still does a little bit higher than the other ones because some channels don't share their QAMs. They call them QAMs. They don't
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for Verizon, you're watching an NFL game, you're getting it at 20 megabits a second. If you
Right.
watch that, let's say there's that Verizon app and you could watch it online, you're watching that at 2 megabits a second. And you know what? Watching sports, not that fun at 2 megabits a
Yeah. No,
second.
that's true. That's true.
It's not. So this is the uphill battle now. Okay, so fine. It's easy to
It
get
is.
the
Well, it's a
content
huge
on there.
problem. Yeah.
It's easy. And 90% of people will be totally fine. But me, I have a major, major problem watching crappy, low bitrate content on the internet. If I'm
Sure.
paying $60 a month for a service, you know what? I might as well go to cable.
Right.
That's the reality of it. I mean, and someone in the chat room just says this. Sports requires 60 frames per second, at least 15. You know what? I would love 15. I would tolerate 8 because nobody's even doing 8. Right now,
Right.
MLB is doing 5 at 60, and they look pretty decent.
Yeah.
I am one of these people that is really, it bothers me. I know most people
Right.
don't care about that, but it bothers me. So that's my gripe with this. But this article is interesting that, AT&T is putting DirecTV now on Apple TV, and they're giving you, I guess, essentially a set-top box. I think that's pretty cool.
I guess
So,
we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Guys, we still have a couple topics left. We want to talk about this, but I want to remind everybody, if you are a fan of what we do and you want to help us continue doing this, go and use our Amazon link. If you bookmark the following link, go to gfq.co/Amazon. That's gfq.co/Amazon. You could bookmark it, and whenever you're making your holiday purchases, which I know a lot of you guys are using Amazon, we get a tiny little credit for every sale. It doesn't cost you anything, but we get it from Amazon. gfq.co/Amazon. If you could bookmark that, that would be wonderful. Someone could post a link in the chat room, and you guys could do it right now. The 121 people in there, that would be wonderful. gfq.co/Amazon. Also, following this, we're going to be doing our bonus show, our Patreon show. It's going to be free for you guys watching this live. If you're watching live, stay tuned. We're going to do What the Talk. If you're not watching this live, you can go to patreon.com/whatthetech and sign up there. You can fund us anything you want, and you get access to all the bonus material that we do here on the show. I wanted to talk to you about one last topic, and it's the feedback I've received from MacBook Pro users, new MacBook Pro users, and USB-C.
Right.
You know,
by the way, I don't know if you read The Verge, they've turned into what appears to be a site called MacBook Pro Daily.
Yeah, they hate it.
And every day there's a new editorial about the MacBook Pro.
And how much it sucks. They hate it.
It is. People are losing their shit over this.
Which, by the way, I know people in real life. Forget about journalists. Forget about, my friends that work for CNET and all these sites. I'm talking about like average, everyday people. They are really losing their minds over this. I got a text. I got the best text message. I got the best text message. He goes, I want you to show this to Paul. And I said, what is it? He goes, what the F? And he spelled it out. And he sent me a picture, and it's literally him holding 6 dongles.
That's silly. Look, there are some legitimate complaints to be made, and then there's kind of like faux outrage kind of stuff, right? And at some point, you have to kind of wonder like where the truth is, right? So one of the little things that people are freaking out about is it doesn't have an SD card slot, right? No. Photographers need an SD card slot.
Yes.
To which I sort of say, do they?
You know really? What? I'm fine with that.
I mean, seriously, are you telling me? Because I've seen people do this, by the way, and this, you go to a like professional basketball game, and there's like photographers down at the sidelines or at the at the court side.
Yeah.
And they got their awesome big cameras, and they're taking photos and everything. And then next to them, there's like a laptop that has like a like a media card reader taped to it or something, which is really funny. But they're taking pictures. They want to get the pictures down to that thing. You're telling me that the best way to do that is to pop that little card out of there, slip it into the side of the computer, do the acquisition stuff on the computer, take the card back up and put it back in the thing. Are you kidding me? They're plugging a cable. What is? I don't understand. This is like pros complaining on behalf of other pros, because actually most of the people complaining aren't the pros. They're the ones trying to, they just can't stand it. And so they're what about the photographers? Like Apple's leaving the photographers behind. I don't know. To me, some of this stuff seems a little overblown. The one thing I guess I do sort of agree with, and this is maybe just a problem in the diversity of the lineup, is the MacBook Pro in many ways is not a pro device for other reasons, right? Like that touch strip thing is not necessarily something that pros need for almost anything. Like it's not a pro thing. It's almost like something that should be on a consumer laptop.
Yeah.
Instead of being on a pro device, And I guess you could make that kind of argument, like when it comes to pro stuff, like pro devices by nature should have more ports, blah, 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 whatever. I think what they should have done is, position the low-end version as a MacBook Air replacement and priced it accordingly.
Yeah, yeah.
And then had a version above what we've seen that does have, I don't want to say legacy ports, but, common sense ports, right? Like Apple always goes a little too far.
They always see it. I mean, they've always done. So here's my gripe with this, okay?
Yes, okay.
A lot of people complain about the SD slot. I'm one of these people that uses mine all the time. All the time.
You're kidding.
All the time.
What?
I
What?
use it constantly because I transfer files from one thing to another. I have a lot
Oh,
of documents on an SD card. But again,
you
I'll
know
give an
what?
example.
I've
I
been
had
talking about having SD, micro SD, and devices for years, and the truth is,
you never used it.
I don't use
So
it for
I
anything.
use it.
Okay.
But if I use it as much as I normally use it, which is twice a week, right? Which
Yeah.
is probably way more than most people. I'm okay with getting a dongle. I'm totally fine. And you know what? It would benefit me to get some sort of dongle that does does SD and micro SD because
Yeah.
I could take it and put it on all my devices. It doesn't matter. That's not something that affects
Okay.
me. Here are the things that really bother me about this device, and it bothered most Mac users.
All
I'm
right.
going to tell you right now. Okay, you
Okay.
see what I'm holding up right now?
I know what you're gonna
Okay.
say.
Do you see this?
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the extender for the power. So
Yeah. No.
okay, so this normally comes with like the plug-in, and you
Yep.
just plug it in. So nobody ever uses the regular one; they use the extender.
Well,
It doesn't come
that's
with an extender.
yeah. I was gonna say some percentage uses either one.
I don't
Who
know
knows?
one person. I don't know one person that doesn't use the extender.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, because what's the point? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just connect the long one rather than the short one? Why?
Well,
I don't understand why.
I
So
actually don't like the extender on the Apple devices
you
because
don't.
it's actually it's inflexible.
Yeah, it is
Uh,
inflexible. For me, it works fine.
okay.
Everybody that
Okay.
got it is losing their minds over the extender. They're saying like, "Well, what do I don't understand why
Yeah.
this doesn't
So
come with it."
the problem is Apple raised the price on this device, right? It's off the charts. You get less with it, like you said, and you don't get the dongle. Like with an iPhone, they at
Just
least
give,
had the
yeah,
class to say, well, here's the thing you need,
yeah.
I actually I see that. Like I understand that argument.
It's that they've taken away things. They've taken away things.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
much of an upgrade other than the strip. But even if you don't get the strip, you're losing out on that extender. It doesn't come with a dongle. And I have to tell you, they're not doing a good job at informing people because I know people that went into that store and bought a new MacBook Pro and they're not
You're really
telling
hung up on
people.
this.
I
You're
am.
really hung
I
up
am.
on it.
I really am.
I'm sorry, but I feel like people need to be educated about what they're buying.
It's
And if someone
90% of
walks into
people
an
are
Apple
not.
store,
But if it's who
I'm
would
sorry, you're
know?
spending $3,000 or whatever it is on one of these things, and you don't know to get the connector that's going to let it work with the devices.
But it
You're an
says,
idiot.
but
Like
it
that.
says USB
Come on, that's
3. It says USB 3. You don't know
no.
what Type C is. Nobody knows what Type A and Type B and none of it.
Andrew, no, bad, Andrew, bad.
I'm telling you,
No.
this is all I heard last week from people saying
Oh,
I went in there
God.
and I wanted to plug my webcam in and I looked at it. There's
Uh-huh.
I can't plug my webcam in. I can't plug this in. I can't plug that in. And
I just don't. You bought it. How
I
do you not
know,
know what it is?
Paul.
It's like I bought a diesel,
Yeah.
turbo diesel, because it gets an unbelievable gas mileage. How come when I put gasoline in it, it doesn't run? Like you bought a diesel. Like, how do you not know what you bought? I don't know.
I think it's or you know what it's more like you I don't know. I was astonished and I warned so many people about this and nobody realized that they need a converter for this. So all these people are upset. They're losing their minds and I totally understand this.
It's not a good example.
I get it because they did not do a good job at informing people. They did not do a good job.
Ooh, Apple?
When you go and buy this thing,
You're going to blame Apple?
You know what? I kind of do because 90% of people cannot fathom the fact that their computer doesn't have USB.
Jesus, dude, come on.
It's all Apple's fault.
I don't know.
It always is.
I'm sorry. We can't keep. I don't mean you and I. I mean we collectively as the audience of technology enthusiasts, whatever, cannot keep having this conversation, right? Apple went from the whatever the fat iPhone connector thing was called, whatever that was, to the Lightning connector, and people lost their shit over that. We're going to USB-C now. People are losing their shit over this. Like, guys, seriously, this is nothing new. This is what I wrote.
It's very forceful. That's the problem.
I took pictures of Ultrabooks from 2011, 2012, and both of them required dongles to do very common activities, including such things as connecting an Ethernet cable so you can have a wired connection, that kind of thing. This is nothing new. This is unfortunately how progress occurs. The Asus that I bought, I can't find it. It's killing me. I can't find this little bag, but it comes with this little bag. You open it up. and there's 3 dongles inside of it. It's all the little pieces you need, you know. So now you have like one bag you can lose instead of 3 separate dongles.
So
I don't know.
do you think manufacturers of I guess computer apparel are going to now go to USB-C, or are they going to stick with
Yes.
USB? Or are they going to start offering the converters? Maybe that might be the answer, where, you buy a
What do you mean?
webcam. You buy a
Oh,
webcam and it
oh, oh,
has
oh,
a little
peripherals. I
converter.
see.
Yeah, you have a little, what did I
Yeah,
say?
I think
I didn't say,
during the transition, that's what you'll see. Yeah,
yeah.
you'll the Logitech C, 950 or something will come out, and it will be USB-C based,
Yeah.
and they'll put a dongle in there because a lot of people don't have those
Because it's probably
devices.
not good for most people. I mean, listen, I slowly see this entire industry going to USB-C. I think it's a necessity. USB-C is the future
Yeah,
for this type of
yeah.
connectivity. I get it. This is where we're headed. But would it have hurt
I
them
don't
just
think
to
you do
put
get it,
one?
Andrew.
Would it have hurt them to just put one freaking dongle? Just put one dongle in the thing. Just
All right, look,
one.
look, look, guys. If you don't want to live in the bleeding edge, stop buying Apple products. Okay. No, I mean, seriously, we can't
Yeah.
keep complaining about Apple. They do this all the time. If you want to take a measured step into the future, buy like an HP X Spectre X360. It has USB 3 port, like normal, full size plug, and it has 2 Thunderbolt/USB-C ports. Done. You're all set. It does not have an SD card reader like the old one.
Yeah.
They did that too. I really don't think a lot of people use SD card readers. We Apple can't make a different version of the Pro for every little sub target audience. What about photographers? What about illustrators? What about like
Yeah,
guys?
yeah.
Come on, come on.
It's fascinating. I mean, listen, I get it. I'm not losing my mind over this because I'm not buying one. But if I
No,
went in,
no.
but you know where I would lose my mind? You know when I would be pissed off? If I went in there and I wasn't really informed, because most people that go and buy these things are not
You're
informed.
really hung up on the store experience.
I am, because I thought it would have been, I thought it
Andrew,
would have been a non-issue. I thought it was just me thinking this, and I got the exact
let's go
response that I
back.
thought
Let's
I
go
would.
back in time. Okay,
Yeah.
2012. Windows 8 was coming out in that fall. Apple was rumored to be making a 15-inch MacBook Air. And I said to myself, if they release this thing, I'm going to buy it because I want a 15-inch device like that. And
It
they didn't
didn't
really
happen.
have any at the time.
Did you get upset?
Yeah, because what they announced was a 15-inch MacBook Pro, which is the one they're now replacing finally, which was super expensive. And I couldn't afford it. There was no way I was going to buy something like that. So what I ended up buying was the Samsung 15-inch Ultrabook that came out that year later. I bought that one instead. That's what I bought. And, we've been looking for Apple to make this 15-inch MacBook Air since 2012. Well, guess what? They just made it. So they're calling it a MacBook Pro, and people are losing it, But I think that, Macs, like any PCs, are used less for kind of mainstream purposes. And we can kind of make fun of the touch strip thing, and we can kind of talk about how it's not really applicable to a lot of people, but it targets that same market that Microsoft is targeting with Surface Studio, which is the creator thing.
Yeah.
These things are for content creators. I
Yeah.
mean, most people, look, there's so many things I got wrong with this device that I think are much bigger deals, like the keyboard. Terrible.
So is it
Keyboard's
okay?
terrible.
So that's that. You know what's really
I've heard
funny?
it again and again.
I'm going to
Yep,
tell you something.
terrible.
This, and I don't ask. Like, I'll give an example. I love Ayaz, right? But
Yeah.
Ayaz has a point of view like we do when it comes to stuff
Sure.
like this. It's
Oh,
not.
but he's an insane person.
But he's an insane person, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it's
So he
just,
has a point of view, but
yeah,
it's
he's just insane.
Yeah.
I can't go to Ayaz and be like, "What do you think of the keyboard?" Because he may, look at it like we would look at it. I've asked regular users, "What do you think of the keyboard?" And and I said, "Well, how does it compare to the other one?" And they don't understand the question. Like, "Oh, it's fine." I don't.
I'm actually surprised to hear that.
I was very surprised. I was waiting for this thing.
The most
sucks.
polite thing I've ever heard anyone say in a review was, "Well, it is better than the MacBook," but that's an incredibly low bar. The MacBook typing experience is terrible.
Yeah. But is it worse than the MacBook Pro? Because the MacBook Pro is pretty decent. The keyboard. I generally enjoy the keyboard on this thing. Is it
new MacBook Pro? Yeah, it is.
The new versus the old. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worse.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yep, and that's another example of them taking something away. They had kind of nailed the typing experience. I mean, they didn't invent island style keys, but they kind of formalized the design that every Ultrabook, and now laptop maker has copied. And, they usually work pretty well. And now they don't, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting. Aside from, so here we are, it's like 4 years later. They finally released the form factor I was asking for. The version I would want, I think it costs $2,800. It is a keyboard I can't type on. It is a touch strip I can't use in Windows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's no I can't buy this thing. Like
Yeah.
just I would never buy this thing. It makes no sense at all.
You know, I was very excited to buy a new MacBook Pro. That I was waiting for the new one
Yeah,
because I had to
yeah.
replace
No,
my
I remember,
2012, and I was like, shit, man. I just bought this thing. It's like $1,500-$1,600. No, it was like $2,000. What am I saying? I spent all this money on this thing, and the new one's coming out. I'm gonna feel like crap, and I don't feel like crap. I really don't. I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm missing out. And I saw him in person. It's a very nice laptop, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on this, this new device. It's not. I mean, for me, the keyboard is what I really need, and the keyboard is not as good. The trackpad is a little bigger, but it's still the same thing.
I
The
hate big
display is the
trackpads,
same
too. That's the
exact
other thing.
thing. The display is the
Yep.
same exact thing. It doesn't have USB on it.
I don't care about that. I would love to have the old MacBook Pro 15-inch, but in this body. Like this thinness. Like that's this is what I've been talking about. This is the thing
Okay, I got a
I've
question
wanted
for you.
for such
People
a
are
long time.
asking, what is the best laptop keyboard on a new generation Windows laptop? What would you say from the things that you've used? I would still
ThinkPad
say
X1.
Lenovo. What would you say?
Yeah.
Lenovo. Yeah. Always been.
ThinkPad X1, yeah.
Always been.
Yep.
It's seriously on. I'm not talking about like the ThinkPads. I'm not talking about like the lower end. Well, I don't know. Maybe they've changed it because I have an older ThinkPad that's just like a regular
Yeah.
keyboard. But
Oh yeah, no, they've changed it. So
I'm
it's funny
sorry,
what they did.
IdeaPad. The IdeaPads
Yeah.
are not great.
It depends on some they could be okay. But the ThinkPads are superior, and they used to have like the full keys, and as those island style keys became popular, they started working on new keyboard designs with the ThinkPad Edge. I think was the first, the ThinkPad E, whatever that line is, and now across the X1, the X1, the X1 Carbon, the X1 Yoga, etc. They have these kind of low profile keys, but they're the best in the industry.
So I have a question. What's the T series for Lenovo?
So Lenovo, like so many PC makers, has too many versions of computers. Before there were Ultrabooks, the T series was their thin and light, and then they also have like the S models, which is like the M3 model, right?
Okay.
So you could get like a T. I don't know what the models are at today, but let's say you could get something called a T450. A T450 would be like an ultra portable computer, but then there would be a T450S, which would be even thinner and lighter.
Where can I buy a
that-
classic ThinkPad? I want it to look exactly like the one I had in like 2005.
Well, actually, like a T series would probably be the closest.
Would probably be the closest. I remember
Yeah.
that they were redoing it a couple years ago, right? They were going to have one that's like the classic with like new components.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that I'm not sure. But honestly, the best portable laptop experience is almost certainly an X1
X1
Carbon. If you want
yeah.
a traditional. Yeah.
Yeah,
ultimate,
there's nothing that comes close. And I'll tell you, the little nubbin thing, I
Oh, it's
love.
the best.
I love it.
Oh, and by the way, even if you don't like the nubbin thing, their trackpads are fantastic.
And you could pop it out.
The fingerprint reader is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very much considering one, to be honest.
Yeah. I looked this up the other day, by the way.
Oh,
So like a
what,
base,
Carbon?
like an i5, 8 gigs of RAM, 120 gig, no touch, full HD display, fingerprint reader, X1 Carbon, and it was $1,100. And I was like,
Let's see this. Hold on.
that's a good price for that.
Yeah, I'm on the
That's
website
not-
right now. Let's see. Fourth
It's
generation.
like 1187. So
What
not
CPU
bad.
did you have? i7 or i5?
no, just the base one, Core i5.
i5, yeah.
8
Yeah,
gigs.
1100, yeah. You got a i7. Let's say you want to go with an i7. You go with an i7 660U.
So if you want to, if you want to go to
Inch.
town on this thing, you have to upgrade to an i7. Then you can go up to 16 gigs of RAM. You
Yeah.
can get, I think, you get faster SSD if I'm not mistaken,
You do,
and
yeah.
you can get I think it's for a 1440p screen.
The
probably
speed is for the SSD. It's the same speed. Oh no! Wait a minute. No, you're right. Yeah, it's a faster SSD. $1,400.
I mean,
1461 with a 256 SSD.
Not
That's
bad.
super
And
fast.
remind me
Not
again, what's
bad.
the starting price of a Surface Book, and why the frick
Yeah.
would anyone ever buy a Surface Book?
Yeah, this thing is
like
awesome.
I 14-inch screen. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is actually a beautiful,
Beautiful device.
laptop. Yeah.
Yep.
This would be my laptop. I'm
Yeah.
a big ThinkPad fan. I had it in 2003, my first ThinkPad, and I fell in love with it. Still to this day,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Guys, that's it for this week. Go to our website, gfknetwork.com. You can subscribe to the podcast. We're everywhere podcasts are available. Look at this. I'm on my second beer now. I'm having a Sam Adams Rebel IPA.
I'm gonna take a nap when we're done here.
Good.
I actually I got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning today. I was so freaked out over a couple things. I had a travel snafu,
The election.
and then the election. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, I was at the door when they opened.
Were you really? How many people were there?
Yeah.
Were there people waiting?
Oh, there were dozens. Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah. Guys, go to our website, gfknetwork.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Also, go sign up for Thurrott.com. Thurrott Premium. It's a great gift for yourself. You could gift yourself this for the holiday season. $64 for the year. You get access to all this stuff, the premium forum, First Ring Daily podcast, full access to the content on Thurrott.com, and a whole lot more. Go to Thurrott Premium, Thurrott.com/Thurrott-Premium. Just go to Thurrott.com and click on the Join Premium tab on the top. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zarin. You can follow Paul at Thurrott, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye for now.